Just one example that you would say that you think it's like completely free that anybody can do.
Sure.
And because I also feel like there's very simple ideas, but I think you can also jazz up simple ideas
For sure,
to
for
make
sure.
them more than what it is.
Yeah, for sure. One of the big things I've quite enjoyed, I love cooking. So
Me too.
yeah, I love cooking and I love learning new things. And sometimes I can fall into like a routine, but other times I want to spice things up. And so I think a really cool date idea, Claudia and I have done it too, is like we'll have almost like a cook-off where it's like, well, this Friday I'll do this, and then next week you'll do that, and we kind of almost kind of like in a jokingly, way, kind of
Fun,
compete.
playful.
Exactly, but we both cook together, and it's like you have to eat anyways, right? So it's like it's not any crazy money that you're spending. Buy a couple ingredients and you venture out. But I think cooking together on a Friday night, Saturday night is a really good way to open up a bottle of wine, whatever, depending what you're making. I think it's a great way to kind of bond, and that is a date.
So now let's think about this. So what do we say? What are you doing? Simple. You're just cooking a meal.
Yeah.
You have to cook it anyways.
Right.
But how do we jazz this up? Okay. You got a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You now are creating an environment to meet, rekindle, spend some time together. Also eating, fooding.
And if it's a new dish that you've never made, maybe I buy a
was
nice
getting
little piece of steak, and then now I'm tasting this. Who am I tasting this with? With my partner, a new experience, a new bonding
Together.
Wow, this tastes really good. A recipe that we found.
Well, it's not so much just about the cooking and kind of discovering something new when you're eating, but it's the fact that you're also learning something new as well with your partner.
Exactly.
It's not so much of like, oh, we discovered this food, but it's like we now learned how to cook this together as well. And it's almost like you said, it's almost like a game. Like, oh, well, what else can I add to it? How can I make this better? And you make a bomb ass meal, and then the next week maybe she does something and she makes it, and then you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. And just think of how you're now engaging, how you feel excited because you're learning new things together. You're accomplishing things. And I feel like it's what we said early in the chapter. It's those little micro accomplishments that almost motivate you. You make your bed in the morning. It's one more thing that you did than someone who just got up and left. It's not one little accomplishment that you did. It now sets the tone of like, oh, what else can I do? So now you're cooking something, you develop something brand new, you learn something together, you educated, you were able to enjoy the meal and share that with your partner. You created a whole date night when
the whole new experience.
What did we do? We just cooked.
Yeah.
But look at what we created from cooking.
From just a couple of ingredients and a couple of products that they don't have to break the bank. Also, now when you're cooking, you can talk about certain things. You don't have your phone in front of you. You don't have a TV in front of you. There are a couple of distractions, but there's no social media or nothing. You can really bond with your partner and talk. Oh, how's your day? How was this? How's your dad? By the way, It's a whole new conversation.
And if we look at it a little bit more subconsciously, it's almost the action of how you're working together also to make the meal. If you guys are cooking together, we're a team. Who's better at this? Who's going to be reading? Who's going to be doing?
Yeah.
Maybe you find yourself that you don't want to read that much, so she's going to, or maybe you do want to read. Hey, look, I'm reading the instructions while you're maybe chopping something, and she's there fucking with the fire cooking, putting shit in the oven. So how's now the teamwork? How's the dynamic that you guys work well together?
And especially, let's say you don't have kids. If you don't have kids, those are some skill sets that you're gonna increase and you're gonna create, because one day you do have kids, then you do have to co-parent. You do have to, you do this, I do that. What are you good at? What are you better at? And it's like you communicating effectively with your partner is a skill set that you can learn while just cooking a dinner.
And the beautiful part is that when maybe you do have kids, now your kids are seeing how you and your partner work together to cook meals. Now they're seeing what a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage should look like. How mom and dad love each other, how they work together, how they're able to create things together. And as well as also eating a good meal, which instead of you probably eating the same thing that your parents don't know how to cook, always eating out, ordering food, bringing in McDonald's, pizzas, whatever, you're now opening to like, man, I'm having all these things where one day you can teach your children to cook all these meals, and then they're going to be able to create the same memories that you're doing with your significant other.
It's such a great way of doing this.
I like this chapter.
This was cool. Yeah, you like this, right?
I told you we should have done it.
I'm glad we did. But yeah, this is just one of the many examples. I think I had 5 in the book, in the course. But in the course, obviously, I'm talking about it more in depth, kind of like we did here. And then in the course, you can write. It's very detailed. But for this recording, for this episode, I think this was a good dive into the chapter.
And this is why effort is important.
Yeah.
Because we turned one simple idea that has to be done into a full-blown kind of creative environment and routine.
And a lot of people, they dread cooking, but if you do it right,
it's fun.
And if you work in it as a team, it's not, I gotta wash all these dishes. It's like, well, you do this, I do that. You wash as you cook. When you're cooking, you dude, it's a whole experience.
Because it's no longer a task.
It's no longer
it's
a
an
chore.
activity.
It's not a chore either.
It's an activity now.
Yeah, it is. It's a journey. Shit.